Step into the Fieldhouse, your front row seat to legendary victories and untold stories. Hey, I'm your host, Lance Lahnert, breaking down sports from the inside out, along with co-host Jimmy Lackey. It's more than just a game. It's the Fieldhouse Podcast. Hey, everybody. Welcome in to the Fieldhouse Podcast. We're a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network. Glad to be here again. I've got my good friend Jimmy Lackey here. He's the CEO. And are you president as well? I mean,
let's move on.
No. I want to get this title correct. What is your title at Kids Inc.?
Chief Toilet Cleaner. I told you I am the Chief Toilet Cleaner.
I love that. Yeah, he probably has cleaned a few. He has cleaned. I know that. Yeah. Anyway, he does it all
I
here.
Probably have a certification somewhere.
Yeah. As we get going on today, it's going to be Jimmy and myself. I am your host, Lance Lahnert. But just out of the blue here on that job, what is kind of the grindiest job, or what is a job you had growing up that you're like, oh man, I can't believe I did that?
Well, I mean, I worked in the hide room at a beef packing plant.
There you go.
For 2 summers, and anybody that's never done that ought to have to do that for a couple of days, and they'll appreciate a lot of other things. So,
I love that.
It always made me ready to go back to school when August got here.
Yeah. You know, that's crazy because I worked in a meat packing plant to get through college because the money was so good.
Dang right. It was awesome.
And you would lose it was so brutal in there. I was on kill floor for one summer that you lose your smell for about 2 months, your sense of smell, not completely, but you smelled regularly. About 2 months later, it was that stinchy in there. But I had this job, Jimmy, and I had a roommate who worked there as well. He lasted all of 12, we gave him 8 and then 4 hours the next day. He quit. He was the guy squeegeeing, and I don't mean to be gross here, but anyways, it's guts and blood that are on the floor.
Yep.
So that was his job. He was basically in an all-out yellow suit. Everybody's yelling at you the whole day, but he lasted all of a day and a half. I had a job where it's called hanging the second leg.
Yep.
Okay. The cow is, the cattle is just, killed, and then it moves on. They start getting the hide off and all that, as you well know. And then about 2 minutes in, I hang the second leg because he's just hanging by one leg, and then they start cutting him up. So my mind did not move for like 3 months, okay? It was a mindless job.
Because you're doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
You watch those guys on the fab floor, they have one job. We joke about it. You had one job. Those guys have one job.
Yeah.
And when I was my second summer, it seemed like I got moved around a lot because I guess people were on vacation.
Vacation stuff, yeah.
So
that's kind of what we did.
We filled in. And so one day I look up and they take me down to fab floor, and my job is – I still to this day don't understand. It was a hose, and I swear the hose was this big around.
Oh, yeah.
It had a nozzle on it, and my job was to wash around the tongue of the head so that the next guy next to me, he cut the tongue, because you buy beef tongue in the store. So that's what that guy's job was.
Huh.
Well, when you have a high-pressure hose and you're squirting water into a real tiny crevice, where does water go? Right in his face. And he's sitting over there with his steel and knives. I got no knives. And I'm thinking, this guy's going to cut me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
By 9 o'clock break that morning, he is soaking.
Oh, man.
He does not like me.
Not to go into deep detail, but we call it they call it the check mark. So, like when they get in fights there, they just check you, on your cheek.
Yep.
And that they're that good with a knife. So I was a very quiet person in there. Yep. Real quick, I know we don't mean to be boring today. We will get into some conversation, but I was in what they called the cage for 2 weeks, okay? They have this job. So there's 2 guys sitting next to me, and this is where the contaminated tummies come down, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And they shoot them down a chute onto you, and it's a 2-man job, but 3 men were hired out for it. So the first guy, for about an hour and a half, hits it. This is a contaminated tummy, hits it. So it's like a fart coming at you all day. Okay?
Yep.
So he did this for about an
nasty
hour, and he goes, look, you're not dumb. This is a 2-man job. So for the next 2 weeks, my buddy will be around the corner for an hour, then I'll go around the corner for an hour, and you'll be here for the whole time. I said, yes, sir. And so no more farts came my way, but it was
it's nasty.
It's nasty.
So the hydrant is right next to rendering.
Yeah.
Where all the yuck stuff goes. And so if they ever had a mishap in rendering, we usually got asked to stay and clean it up. And so, everybody should have to experience that.
Well, I tell you what, though, the money was unbelievable. Like, I didn't have to borrow money from my parents until spring break, to get through college at that time. It's a whole different world now. I do understand. But, yeah, that was the cool thing about it.
What we made. I mean, I had minimum wage was $3.25. So this is summer of 80. $3.25 is minimum wage. They were paying us $9.25.
Yeah.
My buddies are working elsewhere for $3.25, and I'm making $9.25 and working about 60 hours a week. So 20 of that was time and a half.
Yeah, that's amazing.
We were banking.
Yeah, we were banking. Yeah, I'll never forget it. I bought an Onkyo stereo.
Yep.
That me and my roommates used, and they were like blown away. Like, oh my gosh. Yep. This is high cotton.
Mom used to say she couldn't put enough food in my lunch pail. She said, you'd come home with nothing. You ate like a horse one.
Yeah. That's our stories. And other jobs. And we'll talk about next time. We're going to talk about our first car we ever owned. I have a good story with that. But hey, this is podcast number 26. Our tradition now on the show is to pick a 26 out there. 26 is kind of a unfamous number. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we have Saquon Barkley right now, lighting it up in the NFL. He's very popular. I'm sure that's a lot of young kids' favorite 26. Do you have a favorite 26?
I had to think about it, and then I thought some more, and I remembered a book that my dad bought me years ago.
Best number, okay.
Best numbers.
Okay.
And it's all who wore
those numbers. Yeah, okay.
And I had forgotten about some of these.
So who is yours? There's 25. Yeah. Wow.
So who do you think the picture is of 26? 25's picture was Barry Bonds.
Yeah. Okay. 26. When you grow up, it's kind of local who your favorite numbers are. You know what I mean with 26. Yep. So mine is a crazy one. It's Clinton Portis. Of the Broncos, but but I would say Rod Woodson was my guy.
Yeah, that's who I thought of.
Yeah.
I had two after I saw this list, and I'd forgot about Herb Adderley.
Herb Adderley of the Packers.
Yep,
yeah,
I'd forgot about him. Wade Boggs.
Wow, I did not know
Mr. Cheers.
I did not know Wade Boggs were 26.
I didn't realize that.
Of such a great hitter, and we don't remember his number at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They list. I shouldn't have shut that up.
Yeah.
So Billy Williams is the face of 26.
Oh, Billy Williams. Okay.
He's the face of 26.
A little older, but still, yeah.
Herb Adderley, Wade Boggs, Roy Face, played for the Pirates, Amos Otis.
Yeah.
Boog Powell.
That's a good one.
And Rod Woodson. Those are the
guys. Yeah, that's a cool book. Yeah.
I forgot I had this, and I went last night. I thought, I've got that book my dad gave me. I'm going to take.
Now
that
it's going to be easy for you.
Yeah,
the rest of the way.
Now I don't have to do a lot of homework. I don't have to Google it anyway. I'm going to go to the historical book.
Yeah, Rod Woodson played for the Steelers. Always a legendary. He was a Steeler.
Oh, he'd hit you.
Yeah.
He was.
Hey, we got the World Series coming up this week, Friday night. It's Dodgers-Yankees, the classic coast to coast, two traditional powers. One of their most famous pitchers ever, Fernando Valenzuela, passed away this week. Mm-hmm. Do you have any Fernando memories?
No, but I saw a clip of Mr. Gowdy, the old
Kurt Gowdy.
Yep. And then what was the older gentleman that did a lot of broadcasts for the Dodgers?
Vin Scully.
Vin Scully's on the mound, and he's going to throw out the first pitch.
Yeah.
And he winds up with his left hand. I didn't know he's left-handed. Anyway, he winds up, and he stops, and he's got the microphone in the other hand. He's going, I've got a catch, or he's acting like he's hurt. And he brought Fernando out to come out and throw the pitch.
Oh, my gosh.
It was a clip that I saw, and it was kind of an homage to him. But I saw that, and I thought, man, that's been a while. But I did see where he passed, and
yeah, he was famous for looking to the sky. Everybody says focus on the mitt when you're pitching. He would look to the sky and then throw the ball. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And stuff like that we can't do today.
Well, and he had one of those names that you're not going to – he had the name. Fernando Valenzuela, how do you forget that name?
Yeah, Fernando Mania, too.
It's a great name.
I saw his first 8 starts. Somebody put that online, okay? Are you ready for this? 8 complete games.
Oh, wow.
In a row to start his
9
career.
innings or 8 innings, depending
9
on whether
innings.
they were home or
Yeah, 9 or 8. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, won all 8, obviously, but 8 complete games to start his career.
Pretty good way to get your career started.
We can never see that again, though. We can never see a guy look to the sky and pitch unless he's been proven in the big leagues and he comes up with his own way. Yeah. They're all cookie cutters now coming through these minor leagues. We see it here. They really harp on you. They're all over you. Every move you make, every step you take. So some of the flavor of baseball is gone. I will say this. What's your thought is when you and I grew up, baseball was known as, the American sport.
Yep.
I think it's the NFL now personally, or even college football has taken over. But do you think the luster of the World Series has lost a little bit, or will it never change?
No, I think it's lost. I definitely think it's lost some of its luster, no question about it. Because by the time the World Series gets here, and we've talked about this, you're in the middle of the NFL season, you're in the middle of college football season, and in this day and time, and I'll take college for first, if I'm not working on Saturday morning, I can't wait till 8 o'clock. I can't wait for college game day, and I'll sit there for 3 hours. And I think when you have shows like that,
yeah,
and the breadth of what they cover during that 3 hours, some of the stories they bring are fantastic. And I think when you have that availability to you, Major League Baseball doesn't have that. NFL doesn't have that to a certain degree, other than you've got those pregame shows that are highly watched. You've got tremendous talent on those shows. I mean, Fox has back-to-back 10 and 11, and they've got good casts on both. The others have theirs too, and so the talent on those pregame shows is pretty phenomenal. I don't see that with baseball, and I think that's where some of the luster. Maybe that's kudos to the others for doing a better job of marketing.
Yeah,
but
such a long season, starts in April,
Yep.
and here we are. If they go a Game 7, I think it does reach November, which baseball, this should be over. This should be over by the start of October. I know it's all about money and all that, but baseball is meant to be played in warm weather, okay? And I know we have, indoor facilities and all that, but it's meant to be played in good conditions and not when guys have gloves on and coats on in the dugout. So
I don't even think they do a good job anymore. And I can remember when this was a big deal. I don't think they do as good a job anymore of marketing opening day. Opening day was huge when baseball started back in the spring.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I think it's a marketing thing.
But there are passionate baseball fans, obviously. You're going to always have that.
Yep.
And, I'm looking forward to this one. Do you have a pick?
I think the Dodgers are tough.
Because of Shohei?
I think they're just tough.
Yeah. I want to see a Game 7, though.
Oh, hands down.
I really do, so we'll see what happens on that.
Yep.
Hey, Jimmy, obviously, Texas played a huge game last week, and the Georgia comes in and bops them pretty good in Memorial Stadium right there in DKR. And I got to ask you this.
Looking for my Mountain Dew. Remember we bet a Mountain Dew on that game last week.
I do owe you a Mountain Dew. Okay. I thought Texas would win for sure. But it was 23-0 at half. It was over. It really was. I mean, Texas made a little run of it. But my question for you is, so you saw the pass interference call, and it might not have been pass interference. It was a pretty – it wasn't a great call. Let's just put it like that. However, that call would have stayed if the fans didn't throw the bottles on the field and they had a chance to review it. What did you think of that whole scenario? And then the repercussion, $250,000 fine, and then anybody seen in video throwing a bottle is not allowed to go to any Texas events this year, or that card you have as a student is taken away. Yep. But you can still buy a ticket to get in regularly. Sure. So I don't think that's that big of a punishment. But were you flabbergasted that call got changed?
Yes. Yeah.
What does that do for college
just
football?
Just the way it was handled. It wasn't handled well. Those officiating crews are better than that. That's where I think instant replay gets in the way, because sometimes I think they lean on it a little too much.
Yeah.
And when you've got a top, let's call it what it was. It was a top 2 teams in the country playing one another. There's a lot on the line, and one's already down and happens to be the home team. What do you expect from the crowd? Now, the throwing things on the field, there's no excuse for that.
I think they handle it properly, though.
Yeah, that part I think they did a good job with.
And give them credit. I mean, the cheerleaders, anybody, they had that field cleared like, less than a minute.
Sure.
They did a great job as far as that goes.
And I'll use Tech, the tortilla thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's kind of a little bit of a tradition, and tortillas aren't going to hurt anybody. And I get you're not supposed to throw anything, but I think that's kind of cool. And I've not always been the biggest Tech fan, but I think that's cool. That's a different thing, and they've done their best to shut that down as best they can. But you can't be throwing. I mean, you and I are old enough to remember when they used to throw things at NFL games out on the fields, and
like batteries,
beer bottles, and they would have all the stuff. And so, it's uncalled for. There's no room for that, and that part I thought they handled well. But the call reversal, I didn't.
I think it hurts football. I
didn't agree with that one.
Yeah, you can't that big of a call, a lot of eyes are on that game, and you see that, and you're like, oh, the refs are cheating for Texas to try to make this a game, so everybody will stay and watch it.
Yeah,
that's the thought everybody gets.
I watched Kirby Smart's, his presser
post game,
and I thought he handled it very well.
He called it a robbery, so they tried to rob us.
Yeah,
I like that.
And
when you make $13 million a year, you can say stuff like that.
Yeah, but I thought he handled it well, and God, it was bad handling of a situation.
Bad PR for college football, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, we see so many games, so you're going to kind of forget that in your memory banks. But wow, I thought that was atrocious. I can't believe it happened, because I think the worst part about it is if the bottles wouldn't have been on the field, I promise you that call would not have been overturned.
No, I agree.
Yeah. So I will say this. We Texas fans were pretty polite, supposedly, and you can call me out here if I'm inaccurate, but there was only one bottle of all the stuff picked off the field. There was only one beer bottle on the field. It was all like water bottles.
Yeah.
So they were at least classy in that way, throwing it out there.
There you go. I think those two very well could play again.
Texas has some work to do, though.
They do. Yeah, Georgia's defensive front is just relentless.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how really great they are.
Before we dive back into today's episode, let me share a fun fact with you. Did you know that the Fieldhouse Podcast is a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network? That's right, Kids Inc. isn't just any sports organization. We have been a source for youth sports since 1945. From teaching kids the fundamentals of teamwork to fostering a love for the game, Kids Inc. is where champions are made. And here's the best part. As a listener of the Fieldhouse Podcast, you're a part of the Kids Inc. family too. Head over to kidsinc.org to learn more about current registrations, upcoming sports leagues, and how you can get involved in supporting your local young athletes. But wait, here's the kicker. Have you heard of the Rock Rose Sports Park Home Field Advantage campaign? It's a game changer for our community, aiming to provide state-of-the-art facilities for young athletes to train and compete. So if you believe in the power of sports to shape young lives and want to be a part of something truly special, check out kidsinc.org today and join us in making a difference. Together, let's continue to support the next generation of champions and to ensure that every child has the opportunity to succeed both on and off the field.
Watching that game, the two historic programs. We had Herschel Walker in Amarillo once. I got to interview him. Obviously a Georgia alum. Roger Clemens is coming in this year for the bridge. I get to interview him. He's a Texas alum.
Yep.
So my question for you is, there's a lot of memorabilia on those two, that people want to get from those guys and things like that. But what if you could pick any, like one of the bottles on the field? Probably is on eBay now for here's the bottle going onto the field or whatever. Maybe for $5 you can make money. But if you could pick one sports memorabilia piece from any sporting event in the history of sports, what would it be?
I've told you this. I want the putter from Jack Nicklaus when he made the putt on 16 and 86. Okay. I want that putter. I want it signed.
Do we know where it is?
No, I have a clue.
You think he's probably got it?
Oh, yeah. But
remember, it was a big fat putter
that
he had just changed to?
And I just remember him coming back to
holding
win
it up.
Yeah, yes, sir. I remember that.
Wow.
And
what would be number
Vern
2?
Lundquist.
Give me a number 2.
Golly, I don't know. As much golf as I played growing up, and as fond as I am of that game, I'm sure it's golf related. As much as I love football, a Staubach signed jersey, that might be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Too.
I would probably want the first autograph I ever got was Bart Starr way back in the 60s, and he was at the Air Force Academy. And it's just on a newspaper. I had it on my wall forever. So I would want his. He was the first MVP of the first 2 MVPs of the Super Bowl. So I would want his game played jersey in Super Bowl I because it was cloth. It was long sleeve. I think the whole deal.
I've got a Bart Starr story.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I wrote to him and to Donnie Anderson because Donnie Anderson grew up 30 miles from where I'm from.
Yeah.
And so I wrote to him. And I got these autographed pictures back in the mail. They did that back then. They were black and white, and I'm sure their agent signed them or they had multiple copies. But I got them in the mail, and so I kept them. Our senior year, at our all sports banquet, our athletic director was Donnie Anderson's high school coach from Stinnett.
Wow!
And so he had him come in to be the speaker.
Wow!
And I took my picture and I had him autograph it again. And
That's
then
cool.
As an adult, I actually met him. Joe Ferran, a friend of ours from Dallas, brought him up for an event at the museum in Canyon. He brought Donnie Anderson with him, so I met him again there, and then I've since met him at another event as an adult. So I've kind of kept up with Donnie Anderson most of my life. But, yeah, I wrote to him and Bart Starr, and like I said, I'm sure their agent sent it to me, but it was good enough for me when they came in the mail.
That's
I don't
cool.
think you'd get those in the mail today if you asked for them.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, Donnie Anderson I've met a couple of times and was very polite. I will say this, Joe Bain, who passed away recently, longtime Emerald High coach, Jimmy, was really good friends with Donnie's older brother at Stinnett. They played together. So little Donnie, as they called him, would just dominate backyard football with him.
Yeah.
But they were so – he was too – he was a couple years under him, so he just wanted to kind of hang out with his big brother.
Yeah.
But they knew. They just knew. Even in the backyard playing. How would you like that? You're in Stinnett, Texas, playing backyard wiffle ball. They played it all back then, shooting hoops, whatever. And little Donnie Anderson was about 3 years younger than them, and would just crush them.
It sounds like Dick Graham. Dick was the youngest one back in the day, and I think Dick played on some Kids Inc. teams he probably wasn't old enough to play on back in the day, but somehow he got to do that. But, yeah, that's –
All right, we got to ask you. I know you're a Cowboys fan. Is it time Jerry goes? Is it
you
just –
can't get rid of him.
He owns the team, I know. Is it time somebody yeah, you're right. We can't get rid of him. So what do we do? What do you do?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Why?
I'll give you my answer. And
They have talent. Why don't they win consistently?
I'm going to go back to my comment that I've made before. When you're responsible for dealing with a bunch of millionaires, you got to have somebody that can motivate them. And, Dan Campbell, motivator. Dan Quinn, motivator. In his own way, think about this. Andy Reid, motivator.
Oh, yeah.
He knows how to handle those guys.
All respect with Andy Reid.
Yeah, and it's those guys know how to deal with them. And I think McCarthy I think he's a good football coach. Obviously he's won a Super Bowl, and he had different kind of talent back in the day when he did that. But in today's world with these multi-million-dollar contracts, if you can't get between two people and get them on the same page, you're not going to go anywhere.
You think that's their main problem?
Think
they're soft?
I do.
Yeah,
I really do. And I don't get it. When you got people like Micah Parsons,
yeah, I know,
and those kind of guys,
they
just want to win.
Yeah,
they just want to win, and they just have. Winning's hard. I'll say this: winning's hard. It's not easy. Other teams make it look easy. Mahomes makes it look easy. It's not.
Yeah.
And
Mike Tomlin's that way with the Steelers.
Tomlin's one of my favorites.
Don't you agree? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think they just need a coaching change, obviously?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hands down, they got to. The Steelers are an anomaly. think about how many coaches they've had in the last 60 years.
Yeah.
Not many, because the Rooneys let them do their job.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen, particularly in Dallas, when you're the most high-profile sports organization on the planet Earth, and you're thumbnailed by one guy.
So let's get real here. And I've said this before. You fly to the game in a helicopter from your mansion in Highland Park.
Yep.
You watch the game in a luxury box. You all those concessions are going into your pocket that you see 90,000 people just throwing down $20 beers like they're water, things like that. And then you fly home to your mansion in your helicopter after the game. Why should he worry about?
I think when he bought the Cowboys, he brought in the right guy.
Yeah.
And they go 1-15.
Jimmy Johnson.
But Jimmy Johnson was an excellent surveyor of personnel, and he let him do it.
Yeah.
And look what they did.
Yeah.
And then he got involved because his ego couldn't stand the fact that Jimmy Johnson's persona was getting a little bit bigger than his. He couldn't stand it. And so he fires him and brings in Switzer, and Switzer wins with Jimmy Johnson's guys. And then when those guys fade out, it hasn't happened again.
Yeah.
That all falls on Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
And his stamp on that team.
It is hard to win. I mean, let me ask you this. So will Cowboy fans ever stop not going, though, over frustration?
No.
That's the thing.
No.
That's the bottom line. They still sell out the place. They still sell massive amount of clothing and things like that to their fans. So it's not going to – it'll just get lucky. But maybe they need this certain coach that can get it done.
The Chiefs have done a great job, and obviously they're the
well, Mahomes has done a great job.
And Andy Reid. The last few years, the Chiefs probably have competed with the Cowboys on a dollar for dollar basis. But you go back 30, 40 years, and the Cowboys have been the premier organization in all of professional sports. And I'll give Jerry Jones his due. Number one, he was a very successful businessman, and that translated into a very successful owner early. And then his ego got the best of him. This is my opinion. His ego got the best of him. And when that happens, you don't think clearly. My gosh, he had Bill Parcells as a head coach, but he wouldn't let him run the show. And so Parcells said, "See you later." You take these guys, these Tomlins and these Reeds, and you think those owners don't let them say so on that player personnel all day long?
Oh, yeah.
All day long.
Yeah. Who should they bring in?
Man, I don't know.
Bill Belichick?
No, I don't think so. I think they might, but I think he did well because he had Brady. I think he's a good defensive football coach, but they didn't do very well after Brady left.
Oh, if you listen to him talk, though, he's a genius.
Oh, he is. He's a football genius, and I love Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I think his mindset would help Dallas.
But I don't think Jerry Jones will let him run the show.
Yeah, maybe
That's why I wouldn't do it.
Jerry Jones is 82. He's desperate for a Super Bowl championship, so maybe
He'd step aside. It's just like him lambasting those radio guys.
I root for the old guys in this world since I'm an older guy, but he built it, so it's like the old. You went to the sandlot with the ball, you get a play.
Yeah, he's tight with Sean Payton.
Yeah, Sean Payton's not the answer.
I'm not saying he is, but I'm just saying
he's probably better.
He's tight with those kind of guys.
Yeah.
But you look at some of these younger coaches, Shanahan, LaFleur, that's went blank. The Rams coach, he's still good.
But they let him coach.
They do. They let him coach.
I agree with you. I like your point on that. Yeah.
Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell. Texans coach. Those young guys. It's kind of like doctors. There's the old doctors and there's new doctors that are going and being taught all the new stuff. There's a little bit of parallel there, and I think that some of these younger coaches are taking what they've learned, and a lot of it comes from college, that fast-paced college play, and you're seeing some of that make its way in. And a guy like Mahomes it's showtime.
Yeah, and it's got to be showtime in the playoffs. Cowboys won big the last few years, chalking up those 12 wins this season. But I don't know. It's an interesting. I wish somebody really like a psychologist would do a study on the Cowboys to see if that is the reason. Does he really not let the coaches coach? You know what I mean? It looks like from afar that's the answer.
Yeah. Well, coach and have a big say-so in player personnel.
And playing personnel.
Yep.
No, I agree with that. Yep. So I think it'll be his son who takes over when he decides to step by.
I think he'll be different.
Wow.
I do.
Okay.
I think he'll be different.
All right. Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. Hey, any update on our favorite facility about to be built?
Not this week. I know that they know I'm waiting for an answer, and I just need, it's all about engineering and the plans with the drain. It's the drainage issues out there, and I get it. They've got to have that right, and I'm probably not patient enough in that space because now that we're ready,
that would be a disaster if the drainage was not right.
We have to have it right. It's just. It's like I told Kim Killian when he went to work at the city. He left Kids Inc. for a while and went to work at the city. And he was gone about 16 months and he was ready to come back. But I told Kim when he was leaving, I said, I'm not in a position to give you advice, but I'm gonna make one comment to you before you leave. The wheels aren't going to turn as fast for you at City Hall as they do when you come down the hall and you need to order 200 helmets. I just say, go get them ordered. Don't expect that same. Yeah, that's with any large organization. Right. There's a process to it.
Yeah.
And then things take longer because there has to be so many checks and balances in the process. Whereas in a small company, if this is what we got to do, it's what we got to do. And so, it's testing my patience, and I've got the patience of Job when it comes to this deal. But at some point in time soon, we're going to be moving dirt out there, and I know that. I wish I could tell you it was today, but as of
we appreciate
this time of day, I haven't had that call.
Yeah, we appreciate the updates, big time. You know what I mean? So Kim now does 2 Meals on Wheels routes a week.
Yep,
2. I only do 1. Man, that guy's a stallion.
He's a good boy. He came and announced all our games at the Food Bowl this past weekend, and does a great job. And I'm happy for him. Happy he's living in his retirement and enjoying it. And he and Pam get to do what they want.
Yeah, no, and for him to do that twice a week, that's a great commitment. I appreciate that.
Yep.
I mean, I do it once a week and fill in wherever needed, but it's a great thing. All right, last thing, and we're not getting political or anything, but we want to make sure, don't you agree, the voting line, like in Amarillo, we have apathy galore voting-wise, but I will say this. I went on day 2 of the early voting, and I go to the Northwest branch library usually, you know what I mean, and that's where I happened to go. But nice little line there, man. Had to wait a few minutes. Made my heart smile that people are getting out and
voting.
Notice
the numbers they would report on the news first couple days.
I haven't heard those.
They were pretty good. They had about 8,000 on that Tuesday.
Okay.
I mean, that's pretty good between Potter and Randall.
Yeah.
I thought those were good numbers.
Yeah. It's going to be
we all need to take that. It's a privilege, not a right.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And I would never tell anybody how to vote. Mom and dad lived on the corner. So our house was on the corner of 6th and Pear. So here's our house and here's an elementary school. So everybody came by Mom and Dad's house every day. And every time political season rolled around, local, state, national, people wanted to put yard signs in Mom and Dad's yard. And the answer was absolutely no. And, as I grew older, I understood why. It's just, I don't talk about
politics. I understand.
And, to each his own. And, I'll be me and you be you. And, but I don't like I don't like what it brings to the table and where we are today, and I'm going to stop right there because I just don't like the taste of it anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of like I agree with you. The discussions aren't discussions. They're, they're very, even the debates are so demeaning.
I can't like you because you don't agree with me.
Yeah. I mean,
my first person I ever got to vote for, Ronald Reagan, 1980. And I'm so proud of that because what a gentleman.
Yeah.
And, just.
Yeah, it's a lot different now. I think everything that way is. So, but yeah, we just say get out and vote.
Yep.
We're not telling
Please
you how by any, but I was really happy to see a line there. Okay. I'm just going to say it's weird. And if it was 2 miles long, I would have been really upset and probably turned around and voted a different day. But no, it was good to see it because every other time I voted there, I'm just going to tell you, I just buzz in and buzz out. Maybe a Lone Ranger, you know what I mean?
The only thing I'll say about the voting process in this day and time is we're smarter than all this hoopla that you hear about voting. There ought to be an easy system, and they can't.
I'm with you.
They ought to be able to fix it where people trust it. And
yeah, you know what I mean?
People don't trust it.
You don't trust it because you do hand it to somebody. You see what your votes were, but it's also going through another machine. And
and you get that ticket that has your number on it, everybody else knows. I mean, they know who I vote for.
Exactly.
You know, don't tell me you don't know who I vote for. That's malarkey. You know who I vote for, and that's not right either.
Yeah, it's like when you are talking. If I'm talking to Ron about something we might be purchasing, and then your phone also suddenly pops up and says, you know, these are like 5 things on sale that we were just talking about.
How do they know that?
Oh man,
Big Brother knows it all.
They do. So.
Yeah.
Hey, we can't thank you. You good? What
Yep,
do you have something you want to chat?
We got our clay shoot this weekend. By the time this airs, it'll be over with. But
Yeah.
I want to shout out to Haley for all the work and Maddie being so good about getting all the marketing stuff. We've got a gentleman that donated a shotgun that custom inlaid some pieces on it, and Maddie went and got some film of it, and it's pretty cool looking what he did to it and put it in the gun.
Is that the raffle?
Mm-hmm. Part of the raffle, yep. And so it's got a Kids Inc. logo, and I don't know how he did it, but he made these little ducks and, you know, inlaid them in the stock.
Nice.
And it's pretty slick looking. And so it'll be our first one of these ever. The trick shooter that's coming is really impressive, Steve Gould. He's very, very impressive. And that's worth the $10 lunch ticket just to come watch him at 12:15 on Saturday. And like I said, by the time we post this, it will have aired. But
we'll let you know how it goes. Cause I'm not shooting it. I'm going to go watch.
Oh yeah, you don't want me shooting either. I'm better at working. So.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's all for fun though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's been a good fundraiser for us.
It's kind of
too,
the new, the latest craze with like scrambles used to be the way to golf scrambles. Yep. This is kind of a scramble shooting contest. So yeah. All right. Hey, great stuff today as always. You want us to interview people. We love to hear from you out there in the public. I know I do. I know Jimmy does as well. And we appreciate you for tuning in today. And we'll see you soon. This was the Fieldhouse Podcast.